So let's welcome in our guy Richard Davenport on the McCarty-Daniel hotline. Richard, could you not pitch it to your bosses at Whole Hog Sports, the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, to send you to the Bahamas this week? I'm surprised you're not down there, man, for recruiting purposes.
Yeah, that's shocking. I'll be honest with you, because they recruit the Bahamas pretty heavily, and I'm pretty disappointed. I did pitch it, and for whatever reason, they shot it down.
Yeah, there's a couple 6-stars down there in multiple sports. I just can't believe you're not there.
Well, I mean, you know, there's some soccer players down there, so at least I could have done that. So.
Yeah. Well, I know the real answer. You're like me, RD. Hey, I'm not missing Thanksgiving. I'm not missing Thanksgiving meal. I mean, we can go where? Bahamas, or I can eat Mama's mashed potatoes and turkey and dressing. I'll take the turkey and dressing.
Yeah, you know, as you do a certain gig for a while, it's kind of like that saying, "Been there, done that." So let's just do Thanksgiving.
I'm there.
I did find it interesting. Muss was talking about this place is very special to his late father, who recruited a couple marquee guys, including Michael Thompson, Clay Thompson's dad, who I had no idea was from the Bahamas area, but that was evident. So this is a very sentimental and significant place for Eric and his family. Richard.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I'll tell you what, if you really talk to Eric about his dad, I mean, it was a special relationship that he obviously he misses. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, when you have a parent and they're no longer here, I think we all have that feeling when you've gone through something similar. So I imagine there's definitely some emotional thoughts and things going through his mind being down there. From
a recruiting standpoint, Richard, these trips, how are they part of the pitch when they're talking to portal players, talking to high school kids? You know, they've been obviously to the Bahamas now, Maui last year. They're going to San Diego next year. When you talk to players and parents, I would think some of these marquee destinations would have to be enticing or maybe tiebreakers when choosing a school.
I think they definitely help, yeah. I mean, kids will mention stuff like that occasionally, not a lot, but occasionally. And you know, let's face it, a lot of kids have sometimes not been out of the country, and they haven't really traveled more than just regionally, what other state that they're from. So, it's a big deal to be able to travel to places that maybe you've read about or you've always wanted to travel to. So, it's a plus for recruiting.
Yeah. Richard Davenport with us on the McClarty-Daniel hotline. We were listening to something Devo said yesterday, and he made the comment he'd never left the state, just an Arkansas kid who'd never been out of the state until he became a player at Arkansas. And he's been to Europe, he's been to Hawaii, now the Bahamas, all over this country. I mean, even I kind of joked, even to Starkville, Mississippi. You know?
Yeah, well, you know, I'll be honest with you. I mean, that I've heard that too from kids. Not a lot, but a few kids have said, you know, this is very similar for whatever state they're from. So then, you know, they hadn't even left their state. So, and trips to Starkville, Mississippi just the most I guess most unappealing for most people is a big deal for kids that obviously haven't traveled. So, and I mean, that's the great thing about college athletics. A lot of these kids. What I've been able to see and experience, a lot of these kids, when I talk to them in high school, you can tell that, you know, they're shy, they're not that confident, they have a long way to go, you know, in development, just like all of us at that age. And then about 3, 4, 5 years later, you know, after they're at Arkansas, man, you're talking to a totally different young man, and a much more confident and more seasoned, and a guy that has been around, you know, and experienced things that he never would have experienced most likely if he hadn't gone to college.
Richard Davenport with us here on the Morning Rush on the McClarty Daniel Hotline. RD, Tommy brings up Starkville. It's one of the teams you lost to in football this season. You also lost to a team from Oxford. We always talk about the M schools. You got another one coming in here on Friday. How much more difficult is it going up against, I would think those are your biggest competitors for kids when you could potentially lose to all three of them in the course of one season?
Yeah, I mean, you always want to have those bragging rights, and it's a sales pitch. There's no doubt about it. And when Arkansas beats those guys, I mean, they use it. And when those schools beat Arkansas, they use it. So, you know, it's something that you know, if you come up on the short end of the stick, you got to kind of overcome and kind of point out some other things that are in your favor. So yeah, it's something that the schools that if they come out with a W, that they definitely push.
I know Eli Drinkwitz got a big time recruit, the defensive end, one of the 2 5-stars in this state, along with Ryan Winko. How much is that rule that high school kids, if they're going to an in-state, they sign with an in-state school, can start making money out of high school? How much is that helping Missouri State, and other schools within the state up north?
That's a good question. I would tend to think it helps. Now, is it something that you know that as a deciding factor in a lot of situations? You know, as far as recruiting, I don't know. I really haven't dived into that much, but I tend to think it is. It's definitely a plus. So it's something that you know that a kid has to consider, especially if they want to try to cash in, early. So I think it's it's something that is favorable to each state that has that.
Richard Davenport with us here on the McClarty Daniel Hotline. All right, let's get into some meat and potatoes. It's a few days old, but the announcement from Hunter Yurachek, or the tweet after telling the team that Sam Pittman would be back and be the coach next year. What's some of the feedback you've gotten as you've talked to recruits? I'm sure you've inquired with some folks that are part of that 18 commit list. What's the reaction?
Relieved. Now they know. Anytime you see speculation and you hear stuff, and there's talk of a coach may not be back the next season, that creates uncertainty, and uncertainty is the worst thing you can have for recruiting, especially for your kids that are committed to you. And they have 18 commitments. Obviously, they lost one in Courtney Crutchfield. But I think they've done an excellent job of kind of weeding through this, and until they got the notification that Coach Pittman would be back. I think that helps obviously tremendously. I think it's an understatement. Whether they hang on to all 18, we'll find out. I think they're in good shape with all of them, but at the same time, it's recruiting, and we still have a few more weeks till December the 20th, the first early signing day. So it's obviously a relief for the coaches being able to tell them, hey, we told you we're coming back, and now the kids know, and then it helps them obviously still with the 25 and 26 classes too. That's the biggest thing when you have coaching changes. Coaches, the new staff has to come in and start developing relationships, not only with the immediate class, say the 24 class, but the classes beyond the class that you're going to be bringing in. That's a big key. They've developed those relationships with the 25s and 26, and maybe even some 27s, and now they can continue to do that, and that's going to pay dividends later on. I mean, in recruiting.
The reality is NIL is a huge part in a growing consideration. Coach Pittman talked about something's coming down the pipe in the NIL world for this program. Don't have the details yet, but I think when he made that comment the other day publicly, he wanted people like us on this show talking about it, being talked about, because I think he wants recruits to know. That's my opinion. something big's getting ready to happen, and I think that's going to be a shot in the arm for what he has to offer at this program.
Well, there's no doubt about it. When kids are going through the recruiting process, they want to know that a school will have a large enough pie to spread among the team, and that's something that I'm sure he was trying to, like you said, trying to get out and let kids know you come to the University of Arkansas, you most likely you're going to be compensated. So, but at the same time, it's just you have to continue to build upon what you got and try to reach a level that is, I guess, on par with all the other SEC schools, if you can do that, and that's obviously going to pay off in recruiting.
Richard, Tommy mentioned meat and potatoes earlier. As we wrap you up here on a day before Thanksgiving, what does a Davenport Thanksgiving spread look like?
I'm not a turkey guy. I'll do some ham, mashed potatoes for sure. I got to have some gravy. Definitely the dressing. Now, my wife is from Nebraska, so in Nebraska and in the northern states, they do stuffing. So if I don't get enough dressing, I get some stuffing, and I like the stuffing too, to be honest with you. And then obviously hit the desserts. But I'll be honest with you. I'm driving tomorrow, probably about 6-7 hours. I don't want to get too heavy tomorrow because I tell you what, those eyes start to get a little heavy as you drive.
So are you going to Nebraska and then coming back to Fayetteville for the game?
No, I'm not. I'm obviously moving to Northwest Arkansas. I got to drive down to Central Arkansas where my family basically still lives. So then I'll have to drive back up.